not for profit.
So if I put my money into the Bank of America, there's a group of people who are going to make profit off the investments of the Bank of America. That doesn't include me.
Okay.
Whereas if I'm in a credit union, any profits derived from the cooperative would benefit me as well as the other members.
Not for charity,
Not-for-profit doesn't mean you don't make a profit. It means it just goes back to the organization.
but for service.
There's a lot more flexibility with a credit union. I can walk into my credit union now. The branch manager knows me by name. I'm only in there 6-8 times a year max,
Right.
but he knows who I am. I don't have thousands and millions of dollars in him. He still knows who I am.
That's how credit unions approach the financial services industry. But what about consumers? What's their relationship with the financial services industry, and how are they connected to it?
Put it in the bank.
You put it in the bank. What about you, Jan?
Put it in the bank.
Put it in the bank. Put it in the bank.
They put it in the bank for me.
Credit union?
Credit union.
Direct deposit to a bank.
Both.
bank.
Bank, you have both?
Both. Bank.
No, I have only bank.
Okay.
Just bank.
Bank,
Just bank.
bank,
Just bank.
bank.
It's a credit union ATM. It just
Okay.
doesn't happen to be my credit union.
Direct deposit into my bank.
Into my credit union?
My bank, which is one of the bigger banks in the country.
Cynthia?
Yeah, put it in the bank.
Clearly, more consumers use banks than credit unions. But how do they feel about their bank?
I resent paying for the privilege of storing my money so an institution can then use my money to make profit.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about banks in a nutshell.
You, okay. Okay, I mean, wow. That's a pretty bold statement, but yet,
Yes.
you belong to one of the biggest banks in the world.
I do. I do. And it's convenience and familiarity.
When I get the bank statement from my bank, I go over the thing with a microscope.
I was a Bank of America customer, and I hated it. It was like the McDonald's of banking. You know what I mean? It was like they charge you. They charge you for a breathing fee, a walking fee, a blinking fee.
The banks basically run this country. They're holding everybody's money, charging fees to everybody, and as individual consumers, they don't need us.
Banks are charging us to use our money.
And what's interesting is I just feel kind of like bait and switch, right? I feel like when you first get the account, they're more personable, more helpful, more set you up, and then more promotions. And then after they have you and you know, had your money there for a while, it's like you're just another number.
In a bank, I just feel like I'm one of their, almost as if I worked for them, like I'm just a little peon.
I used to think of a bank as like a trusted advisor, and like when you went in, they wanted to give their customers like truly the best advice for them. But then I had you go through college, and after college, we had friends that were entering the workforce, and I had a friend who ended up working for a bank, and all she talked about were how they had these sales goals, and she used to have to get on the phone at 7 a.m. to call into this monthly sales meeting, and it was over her head all the time, how much she had to sell. And I had never thought of a bank as selling before. I thought of me putting my money in there and them holding it for and coming up with strategies to grow it. But to hear her talk about how her bosses were just beating her down over sales, then that made me really leery from then on.
Because I used to work for a bank a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I always knew that that credit unions offered better service. And I know we hate our bank. Can I mention the name?
You can mention that, like I said.
That's what you're everything in the beginning. And then after you're settled and they got you, and then all the fees and stuff and the promotions wear off. And you hit with everything.
You have no say, absolutely no say in how your bank is handled, even your quote unquote bounce check fees. That's a whole nother story.
They're just nickel and diming or dollaring us.
It's like they're almost waiting for you to overdraw, because they tell you, okay, you get an alert on your phone after you overdraw, not before you're about to overdraw. Which I don't know what the point of that is.
They were only penalizing people that can't afford $10.
Right.
So people, if you have a ton of money in your account, you don't get the charge. But
Or
if
you
you
get the
need
phone.
$10, they got to take your $10.
Yeah.
They are fee crazy on everything, and then to get to talk to a person is crazy.
Yeah, I think they charge fees for everything. I mean, I remember that there's even like if you even call to talk to a live person more than like twice a month, there's a fee. It's like,
Everything has to do with fees. Instead of even getting a cashier's check or with anything, it involves fees. So even to transfer from your own account to my account, there's a fee. And I think that's ridiculous because technically they're holding my money, but I don't know why there has to be fees for so many things.
Sitting there screaming at the guy at Chase.
I know a lot of banks now, they continue to raise what the minimum balance is. If you don't have that, you have to pay additional fee for that. If you want to have multiple accounts, you pay a fees for that. If you want to do bill pay on your account, you pay a fee for that. And so those are just unnecessary fees.
In addition to the credit union, I have an account at Bank of America, and I opened it because I needed a particular service they had. But in order to get this particular service, I had to open an account with at least $500 in it, but I have to keep $1,500 in the account to not be charged fees. So I had to open an account, and now I have to keep $1,500 in it, or again, it's like, I don't know, $20, $25, something like that a month, just to have a checking account that I'm really not even using.
It's all about them. It's not about us.
Is your bank on your side?
Right now it sure is.
What does that mean?
We have a large savings account.
Okay.
So
Right?
on your
They're
side,
calling
yes.
me every other day now to switch it to higher yield investment accounts.
How does that make you feel?
I'm happy now, but once that money goes where it needs to go, I doubt they'll be calling.
I hate big banks. Been treated poorly by them, and I was, even when I had a lot of money in them, I still paid fees. And then all of a sudden, when my money wasn't as much, they didn't really give me the same services.
That doesn't mean banks are all bad.
Banks actually are big, too. You can't miss them. The Chase Bank on every street, they're just large. They're everywhere.
The regular banks have helped me out quite tremendously, and if I've asked them to do a favor or reverse fees or whatnot, they've always been accommodating.
Because I have Capital 360, it's online, and I don't get a lot, but I actually get some interest with my checking account, which I've never had that before, versus when I was with Chase and I didn't have direct deposit, they were charging me $10 a month. So, and I'm like, I was just getting physical checks. I didn't have the option of direct deposit at the time, so it's like that and then having to pay the extra. But with Capital 360, it's a lot easier to work with.
They're a business. Clearly, we've established that they're a for-profit business. And when these things happen, essentially, we don't have the money, but we're trying to spend money that we don't have. So, I would rather not get charged $7 or something like that, but they're doing a service for us that, it can't all be free. If you try to go to the grocery store and buy milk, but you don't have any money, they're not going to give you the milk. You have to pay for milk. So if you're trying to spend money that you don't have, to me, I guess it's just reasonable that there is going to be some fee for it.
You can go to Chase anywhere. You can go to there's just everywhere. They're in CVS. They're in they're in Vons. They're everywhere.
The ATM machines.
The ATM machines.
They gave me, they beat the credit union's rate by a lot because I was a first-time buyer as well. And so it meant a lot to me, and they trusted me with it. And I had, during the middle of the loan, it was a 5-year loan, had a hardship one year and went out on a surgery, so I wasn't working for the whole year. And they helped me defer a payment to the back of the loan, and that's all I needed was one deferred payment to get back on track, and they worked with me. So since they gave me their trust, I gave them my loyalty.
And went to friends and said, where do you go? People suggested various places. I liked what I heard at Wells Fargo. They don't nickel and dime you as much as many banks I've heard about. So I've been a customer of theirs now for maybe 15 years, 16 years. And have no desire to go anyplace else, mostly because they recognize my long-term commitment to them, that I've been with them for a while. So whenever I do have an issue and I have to make a call to the bank or whatever, recognize the first thing they say, well, I can see you've been with us for over 15 years now. We're going to take care of this.
Convenient, it's easy. I can cash checks on my phone. It's very, very convenient.
They were helpful enough but nowhere near the same personal touch that I get from my credit union.
So how do people feel about credit unions?
I had an account with Bank of America, and I don't even remember now. It irritated the hell out of me, but it did. And I had a separate account with my credit union, and the difference between the two was night and day. And so closed everything out and moved everything to the credit union. And that was probably close to 40 years ago.
Well, I don't feel like I get, fees for just unnecessary, silly things. Like I can call them as many times as I want, speak to a live person, and I would have someone.
They are a lot more personable. They would hate to lose your business. And the biggest thing we have with our credit union is word of mouth.
At the credit union, I've had to, go in for a couple of things, and just not knowing what to expect kind of raises your anxiety a little bit, but they've always been very reassuring, very accommodating.
So it's about the community and about the people and about the relationships.
Every time I use an ATM card, wherever it is, except I was international, I did it and I had to pay the fee. But anywhere in the United States, that goes right back the fee. If it's $5, whatever it is, I get it back and it's the next day. And I never have to worry about that. I get interest on my checking. And Wells Fargo does none of that.
They usually offer better interest rates for their customers. I think they like to take care of their customers a little better and more personal. You get a more personal experience.
With the credit union, they offered helping us build our credit because the both of us had gotten messed up credit from back in school and getting the credit cards right out of high school.
Okay, I opened my Yumi checking account really recently, and before I opened there, I was just gonna open a Chase account because I figured they're everywhere, why not go in? They wanted to charge me like $25 a month for just having an account there because I didn't want to have to maintain a $1,000 or more balance. And I'm like, okay, I can give you guys $1,000, which I will never see again because I have to maintain it to not get fees, or I can pay $25 a month. No way, that's entirely unreasonable. The Yumi checking account I paid $5 to open it, and I have to maintain a minimum balance of $5. So it cost me $10 to have it, and I have it, and it's done.
And once I became a member, I found out later on about the competitive interest rates, and I had already purchased a car, and then I went to the credit union, and I was able to get the car refinanced, and it was amazing. The interest rate that they gave me, it was less than half of what I was paying at the dealership. So it dropped my note down. I couldn't believe it. For the same car, everything was the same. So that sold me. From that point on, I started doing more business with the credit union.
A lot of people say, I love my credit union, I got this deal through my credit union, they feel more comfortable.
Credit unions are all focused on some aspect of the members.
It's a lot more freeing in a way that there are no fees. I don't experience fees because I don't hit a certain minimum.
When you go in there, you just feel like they're, listening and helping you however they can.
When I go there, I always see the same people working at the credit union.
I react favorably to be able to go into a place where people know you.
Oh, no problem. We'll take care of you. And it kind of just gives you that reassurance, and this kind of calms you down. You want that when you go in.
It's about the community and what we can do together as opposed to what you can do for me.
It's thank God there's people just like me and it's okay here. And it's not what I thought it was going to be.
But credit unions are also unfamiliar, seemingly unavailable and inaccessible.
To be honest, I'm not really familiar with credit union.
I wouldn't even know where to walk in to a place. Unfamiliar, I don't know what their terms and policies are, I don't know what their fee schedules are, anything like that. And a sense of unprotected because I do not know if they are, if it's federally insured. I know, no matter what goes wrong with the bank, your money is federally insured. And that is one guarantee that brings me comfort.
But I've always thought for years that I had to be a teacher, belong to a union or something. It was so exclusive that there was no way I could get in there. So that's always been my mindset.
When we shifted around banks about 2 years ago, we were looking into credit unions, but it was just hard to get information.
With a credit union being a nonprofit, which I did not realize, it's like whatever money they bring in, they have to give out. It's like the idea, so that's a nice thought.
Elizabeth, that popped out to you too. You said,
Nonprofit and fair dealing. I was also unaware that they were nonprofit, and that makes it
almost a little easier to trust them.
I honestly thought, because of the membership fee, I thought it was maybe more expensive to sign up for a credit union.
From my understanding or conception of it, it's not something you can just walk into. I don't know, but like it's more exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like you need to be.
Member.
Yeah, you have to get in, right? You can't just walk in, right? Yeah, right.
So even though I am a participant in a credit union, I don't know a lot about it.
The idea of a large business being a fair dealing business seems almost impossible in these days.
I belong to 2 credit unions. The other one you have to be an employee of a certain company or a family member of the employee. So you have to be part of a group usually to join certain credit unions. They're not just open to everybody.
What credit unions used to be and what they are now are completely 2 different things. And I think people still have that stigma attached.
Yes, you said that too, Ellen.
They think of it as being exclusive.
Yeah,
just for
that
certain,
too.
certain
That
people
too.
can join and I can't or something.
But
yeah.
that's not the case?
No, I don't think so. My credit union, I think anybody can
Certain
join now.
ones are,
Didn't
but
used to
some
be.
of them are not. Some of them, and also, it used to be that only I could be and my spouse and my children, but now you can refer friends now. And mine's a police one, so it's really opened up now. And the benefits are so much better.
It would be great to feel like I had a credit union or something like that on my side, but I don't believe that.
Sometimes credit unions, they're not all over the place as much.
That's the disadvantage, is the accessibility for ATMs.
Okay.
That's the one setback.
There was not a lot of ATMs that I could use to access my tenant account. They were very limited. They had a list of only certain ones you can use where to not acquire fees.
With regard to credit unions, they typically have a branch or a couple of branches,
Mhm.
whereas, I bank with the Bank of America. Every 6th block, there's a branch. And so if I need an ATM, I'm never far from one.
You don't advertise it anywhere. Nobody really tells us about it.
Okay.
And a lot of times you have to be a member of a certain type of group.
When my husband belonged to a credit union, he belonged to First Entertainment Credit Union. He had to make an effort to drive.
If it becomes like, well, I can't get to my credit union today and it's on the other side of town. Oh, woe is me, what shall I do? And that becomes a problem.
I think for a long time, credit unions were only open to people who worked for the industry. Like I'm with the teachers credit union. I'm not a teacher, but my mother was. So you kind of had to belong or work for a certain company in order to join their credit union. I think people probably still kind of have that mentality and haven't realized that they can just go join credit union.
No, actually, I knew nothing about credit union. I don't know why. I mean, I work for the state, but people I know that had credit unions, but I was never really interested in one or never looked into one. But makes me want to look into it.
Should such an institution exist, I would totally want to look into it.
This begs the question: what do consumers think credit unions can do to make the more appealing choice the more popular one, and give banks a run for their money?
Credit unions, I think, would do much better if they had an app. They have to have an app to compete with the big banks. Take a picture of a check. Like, sort of people I know do that, don't even go to a bank, including myself. And I want to do everything online.
Credit unions and being in the places like Vaughn's or whatever, that would be a plus for me because those are places I have to go for other reasons. So it's like 2 in 1. However, I've never seen, I don't see them anywhere. I can't even tell you the name of one or a location of one. So unless that's like something new that's going to change, I don't see them.
If a credit union had as many accessible ATMs fee-free as did a large bank, then sure, you've just evened the playing field.
Yeah, if you're gonna put it in a Target or put it in a Vaughn's or a Ralph's, if I can be assured that they're in several branches of those various locations.
But I do wish they would advertise more.
Make it easier to get to you.
Okay, what does that mean?
Build more credit unions.
And I do like the whole concept of it not being corporate. I like all those things. Those are good things. I just don't know if it's enough for me to change.
You don't want to try and compete with the big banks because it's a completely different mindset, I think. And I think it sometimes kind of takes people, like I've been with my credit union since I was 16, and I can't imagine changing. I think people are probably the same way with the bank. They have their money there, the parents have their money there. Why would you change? So you need to emphasize the benefits to make people change from just the status quo of what they've already got.
Credit unions need to go after people who think out of the box. There's the bank people, and we'll just call them Chase for right now, and then there's the others. And the others should be with the credit union.
What are those others? What
Those
are
are
they
the
like?
creative types, the type that get money different ways. They're doing cash, they're doing direct deposit. They have, they want to save too a little bit. They think a little bit.
You would waive the fee, an ATM fee for the credit union if we used it at any location. What would be even better if you said, you know what, we'll block or reimburse you for the charge for the other bank's charge for using the ATM. That would be awesome. I'd be over there tonight.
Okay.
Camping out.
You know, my sister's ATM, her credit union, does reimburse her for all ATM fees.
Advertise more and educate the population.
There's some hesitation sometimes about converting over, so you're a little bit nervous because you don't know what to expect. The reputation's not there, the branding's not there. But once you get into the credit union, you have that sense of relief, like, I'm free. I don't have to deal with these long lines and these rude people and, calling every month, fighting to get charges reversed. So you have that sense of freedom.
I took this as a sign to get my account tomorrow at my local credit union.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Just because I'm getting older, and I know, being financially responsible is really important to me, and I want to have a secure future. I feel like I can get that more with a credit union, and when it's time to buy a home or do any credit finances, I would feel safer doing it through my credit union rather than a bank.
In a credit union, I feel like I'm part of, like, we're all in it together.
Okay. And do you like that feeling?
Yeah, I think I do. I feel better.
Okay.
A little safer.
Hoping that such a thing truly does exist and that one can be a part of it